the pop culture field manual.
Heavy,
Okay.
not
Heavy.
Heavy, not wide. That was deep. Not
That was a
wide.
deep one. Okay. Take her away.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pop Culture Field Manual Podcast. It's great to be back with you, folks. I love standing here with you, all of you, at the intersection of weapons,
Sitting.
action, the military, and pop culture. I'm your Wright, former Green Beret. With me, the one, the only.
Thank you, Israel. Cameron Fath, former Army Ranger, and super excited today because we are going to survive.
Yes, that's right. Today is all about survival.
Survival.
Folks.
But before we do, we release a new podcast every Wednesday. We also have a YouTube channel that releases the video versions of these podcasts.
Like,
Plus,
share, subscribe.
Yep, absolutely. Like, share, and subscribe. Plus, a little bit of the background stuff that you don't hear in the edited versions are in those ones. What do you need, Amy?
It's all right, Amy. No, it's a pooch.
You gotta turn that one
No, we got a pooch here.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, we
She's
got a
saying
dog
it's
too.
Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell's here with us, so that's perfectly okay.
Check out my live stream, folks. You might see a guest appearance of Tinkerbell every once in a while. Twitch.tv/myhappyself. I know
Everybody
you said
needs podcast dog.
we need a podcast dog or a podcast animal.
That's so
I mean,
good.
she's a lot less intrusive than a cat might be.
Yeah,
you know?
like at least she doesn't jump on the tables and whatnot. But
the tacos.
there's tacos on the table
Amy's
too.
tacos.
Amy put tacos on the table.
That's all right.
That's okay.
Don't we all? Hey, listen. Don't we all, in our own ways in life, sometimes just put tacos on the table? Like as a metaphor.
What a metaphor for life.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tacos on the table.
tacos on the table.
But that's not what we're talking about today, folks. Today, we are talking about, if you want to support the podcast, go to buymeacoffee.com/pcfmpodcast.
Yes.
But that's not what we're really talking about.
No.
Talking about survival.
Survival. So, but before we talk about survival, let's hash this out.
Everyone's
man.
like, what? What else do you want to talk about before we talk about survival?
Well, no, we're talking about survival, but before we go into the movies and the
Yes.
TV shows and what constitutes survival to you? Like when you think of a survival movie.
In survival pop culture,
Yes.
it's something where the majority, if not the point of the movie or the objective for the characters, is to survive some sort of
Make it out alive.
ordeal. Right?
So you could almost argue, and when I was typing up this episode, I was like, almost any movie that has to do with like a protagonist and an antagonist or someone trying to take over or kill is literally a survival movie.
Because if the main character dies, he didn't survive. The story.
Like, thinking about monster movies are survival movies. Slasher movies are survival movies. Zombie movies are survival
Marvel
movies.
movies are survival
Marvel movies are
movies.
survival movies.
Yeah.
Like when the aliens come, you're trying to survive. Like when they're taken down New York.
I think you just broke pop culture.
I think
just
so.
now. It just happened, folks. We broke pop culture. We found out the common thread between literally every story that has ever been told. They're all survival stories.
They're all survival stories. There's no more. There's rom-com. And there's survival. That's the only two genres.
But I mean, you could say that rom-com is survival because is their relationship going to survive?
Survive! Every movie is a survival movie.
Yeah.
They're going to shut this down.
That's right.
They're going to shut this one down.
Because we broke them. We found out. We found out what the zeitgeist really means. It's all just survival movies.
Absolutely. The lizard people of Mount Rainier are shitting their beds right now.
I may have a little bit more insight into some of these things just because of my experience at SEER school.
And I was going to ask you, I know you've talked about it a lot, and I know it grinds my gears every time you do.
And that's why I like talking about it.
Let's compare your actual experience in SEER school to did you do what you see in the movies? Some
of these on the list, yeah. Some of the things I can kind of relate to, and some of the things they actually did talk about, which we can get to when we get to each one of those. Here's the common thread. We talk about common threads. This is the real common thread, and one of the things that they specifically taught us in SEER school, especially in reference to the capture scenarios and then the survival scenarios. It's the number one tool that you have out there when you're trying to survive is
your brain.
The will to survive.
Okay.
You never give up. They say that the number one thing, the difference between people who maybe have more skills that die in a situation like that and people that don't is that will to survive. You never...
Being too dumb to quit.
Yep, too dumb to quit. You never, ever, ever give up. It's always having, they talk about, especially in captivity, thinking about like thinking about your home. Like they think maybe it's like more anguish or mental anguish or whatever. No, it's actually good because it gives you a reason and something to go back to.
It's motivation.
Yeah. It's the whole. If you ever saw like Cold Mountain with Jude Law and Nicole Kidman, it's like Civil War, but his whole thing. He says it actually. He's like, she is who I'm trying to get back to. She's my reason because he's a Confederate soldier. He tries to make his way away from the war to get back to his home.
Oh, doesn't he become like a traitor and like everyone?
Yeah, he just basically deserts and he's trying to get away. And Nicole Kidman is his love and is like she's who I'm trying to get back to, you know. And so anyway, the common thread in all of the stories we're talking about today is the will to survive, and it's always, and I think that's probably survive. It's what attracts us. Maybe it's one of the attractions of like a survival film. Even ones like in like we got a lot of war stuff in here.
Yeah,
maybe a couple POW stories. But
yeah, I mainly picked like because obviously this is a military podcast. At the end of the day,
weapons, action, military.
And the podcast. Yeah, so I did a lot of survival military movies, but like we just talked about, any movie typically is a survival
And when
movie.
we think about survival, we typically think it's against the elements, right? That's what I think of when I think survival.
Yeah,
you're out,
like you're alone, you're stranded.
Plane crash, wilderness, things like The Gray,
Lost.
you know, stuff like that. Actually, I forgot about The Gray until just
I
now.
wanted to put The Gray, but I remember you hate The Gray.
No, it's okay.
And
Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not a good survival movie.
it is a good
I am not the final.
I wanted to put The Gray in there, but I didn't want to hear because I think it's a great movie and it was going to boil my blood. To be like,
nonsense. It's fine. It's whatever.
Yes, it's atheistic nonsense. It's fine. There's nothing out there. But
there's no God.
But before we dive in this list, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
So before we like get into the game or anything,
before we do anything,
just a pregame,
look, before we get into it, okay.
Before we get into it, that's gonna be the new. Put that on a t-shirt. Before we get into it.
Before we get into it, cue music.
Cue music.
see on the next episode right here.
But if you had to pick a place to try and survive for 1 month, where would you attempt it and why?
Just me, right?
You're by yourself.
Assuming any level of training or anything like that.
This is like a man versus wild scenario, but it has to last a month, and they just drop you somewhere. Where would you pick?
I feel like I would be most comfortable in a mountainous, forested scenario, like you know, if it wasn't a national park, you know, Yosemite, some Yosemite type, because I'm thinking of freshwater sources and shelter first. Like, you know, with my current level of training, it's going to be tough for me to recognize something apart from like, you know, nuts and berries. And like, you know, they did give us in Sierra School some rudimentary training when it comes to making traps and things like that. But I don't know that I remember snares and stuff like that. But I can't remember that stuff. So if I was dropped off today somewhere, mountains. And now the big thing with mountains is like, well, I had some shelter training, but it gets cold at night, right?
Yeah.
You know, and if I just have like maybe just nothing more than like regular clothing plus a jacket, that's it. I feel like I could make some shelter, you know, get some leaves, put them on the ground and kind of bundle myself up. But, you know, the water's the big thing because you can go You can go 2 weeks without water, but only 3 days without, or 2 weeks without food, but only 3 days without water, right? Because the water's essential. So water, shelter. Food's going to be a bit of a problem for me because of my lack of training, but mountainous forest area.
I would agree. I would think mountains too because I'm thinking of the desert and I'm like, that's hot and
austere water's
big limiting. So we're picking like the easiest thing for us. I was like, I'll tell you where I don't want to go. I don't want to be in the swamps and I don't want to be stuck. We good, Amy? All right, Amy's dying in the corner. I don't want to go in the swamps. That's shitty.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to be on like a tropical.
Yeah, but
I could definitely do Survivor.
So many moisture-related problems like trench foot and like you know like bugs and insect diseases and stuff. And like we probably like the most. Well, the question is, if you had to pick one place, well, I'm picking probably the easiest
one for me. Yeah. Okay.
Downtown LA. I'll try to survive one night downtown LA.
That is the wilderness out there. That's the great beyond.
the concrete jungle.
Okay. I mean, speaking on that, because this was kind of at the end of my list, but have you seen the TV show Alone?
No, I had not even heard of it until you. Is this a new TV show?
It's a little new. It's in the most recent years, but you go on Netflix, watch this show. It is epic.
All right.
It is probably the best survival show because I mean you have like Man vs. Wild, Dual Survivor, Survivor Man. This is the best Survivor competition that I've ever witnessed.
It's a Survivor competition.
Okay. So you start out. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, because I'm going off the top of my head right now and I don't have any notes on it. But I think there's 10 contestants and they just pick a spot and they drop they drop them all off, and it's literally last man standing. So, and the thing
They don't
is,
give them any like.
well, you get items. Everybody gets to bring specific.
Okay.
I think you can bring like 10 items, but then you're alone the entire time, and they give you like a tough box full of camera equipment.
Okay.
And you have to film yourself doing everything.
It's been going on 9 seasons.
9 seasons. Wow. Yeah, but I think there are only 2 or 3 seasons available on Netflix.
Wow.
But some of the stuff that they do is crazy. It makes me want. This is why I want to do like bushcraft so bad.
Yeah, for
like
Shift
after
Fire?
watching this for Shiftfire, it
Yeah.
makes me want to do bushcraft and like dudes. Like there was on one season, the guy was on Joe Rogan who ended up winning it. He ended up shooting and killing a moose with a bow and arrow.
What?
Yeah, and he shot the moose and he had to wait like 6 hours for it to die.
Dude.
But like it's that shit that just it's nuts. And like in the most recent season, a dude like kills this I don't even know what is it's not a buffalo, but it's like this mini pig thing with a buck knife, and it like charges him, and he's like, yeah, and it's all like GoPro footage stuff.
Dude.
But dudes literally have it, and he kills like a wolverine with a hatchet, just like hand-on-hand combat.
Oh my gosh.
The same guy that kills a moose.
Wow.
And it's like he skins it, and he has to like fight and everything, and like
This is hardcore,
The show is
man.
hardcore. Like, and
wanna watch this show.
Yeah, no, you have to watch. It's the coolest like and not to mention they don't tell you when someone quits.
Oh,
So you just
for all you know,
yeah, you don't
they're
know.
all still on.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
the way that you find out is like they'll do like periodic health checks where they come in like every like 2 or 3 weeks with like a medic and see how you're
How long
doing.
are they out there for? Until they quit?
There's no time.
Really?
There's no time. Yeah, until someone is the last man standing. And then the way they know they won is when they do the health check, there'll be a family member.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa, that's cool, man.
Yeah, like I think one dude survives like 100 days.
what?
In like in somewhere in Canada. The
Oh
most recent
my
one, but it's for $1 million and you survive 100 days and like it's crazy.
Dude, I mean, see, that's the thing is like as much as I have I think I have a pretty strong will. That training can make the difference between life and death. Like you can't just like strong arm it. You know what I mean?
It's like strategic.
you gotta know how. Yeah, you gotta know your environment. And
Like
stuff.
there was this one guy that was like an Air Force SEER school instructor.
Oh my
And he
gosh.
was sitting pretty. Like his structure was his shelter was awesome.
Yes.
He had like weeks worth of food because he was banging in fish, and he quits because he's like, I'm so bored.
Really?
Yeah, he's like I'm set. He's like, I have food.
It's not a challenge for him.
It's not a challenge. He's like, I
that's
literally
so
have
funny.
food, my shelter.
Oh no, Amy,
Oh
we're
no,
losing
what's
it.
going on? Keep streaming. Are you still streaming?
Don't ask again for this channel. Okay, great.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
fixed.
All right,
There's
back
the problem
on.
solved. We'll leave that in the YouTube.
Yeah, we'll leave it in the YouTube. But yeah, he's literally an Air Force SEER instructor, and he's set up. His shelter's awesome. He like has everything.
Yeah.
He's ready for winter.
Yep.
He's like stockpiled fish because a lot of the big problems out there is like they like with the moose or something, or like killing small game like squirrels. They don't have fat. It's just protein.
Yeah.
So you can eat like protein, but you need fat to like stay
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
So like they needed to get fish, but he was like loaded up on fish and game. He was good for weeks, but
Dude.
he was just like, I just missed like he had like 3 kids. He's like, I missed my son's birthday, and he's just like, I've been here for like 2 months, or it was like a month and some change, and he's just like, I'm just bored.
Yeah.
He's like, I know I can do it, but he's like, there's no reason for me to.
That
so he
seems
just
like
quits.
a legitimate reason.
Yeah,
to
he
stop.
just quits because he's good. He's
Yeah.
good, but he's just bored as shit.
Maybe it was like it's funny because he's like, oh, I can do this, and then
Yeah, he could.
and then at the end it's like, oh, I can do this.
He's like, yeah, I
just
can.
wanna
It's
go.
easy. Yeah, he's just like, he's like, I proved it to myself. He's like, I might not get like the $1 million, but he's like, I can totally do this.
What does he care? He's got a life and
Yeah, I
family
know.
and
He's
career.
yeah. But I just wanted to bring that show up because it's like it gets my testosterone flowing,
Dude.
And like there's this like I just gotta watch it. There's so many things in that show that I just would sit here and talk with you about.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the injuries and
Dude, do people get injured and they have to like
totally.
soldier on? Has anybody ever been injured and then they actually
can't
still
go
won?
on? Yeah.
No, they still won. Did they still win?
Not really, but they lose like 50 pounds.
Dude.
Yeah, but there's some people that they like want to go on still. Like there's this lady
But
that
they're
didn't-
like,
yeah, they're
listen.
like, we literally, if you will die if you continue. Like there's this woman that like she was like top 3 and like survived for like 90 days, and like they had to pull her from the competition because she didn't it for like 2 weeks.
Oh my god.
Like she could barely move because like she
Yeah.
was so backed up. Like, Watch this show. Let's keep the thread going.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean, here's what we got to do, man. If you're listening to this and 10 years from now, hopefully what we have done is we have done such a good job of developing shift fire in terms of the bushcraft and survival that we have our own show, or at least a seasonal
just survive
show
out there.
that we are out there surviving.
I would love to. I want to. That's something that interests me so much.
I actually, side note, man, thread of a thread, I actually auditioned for one of those Survival. It was Survival Alaska. It was like National Geographic Survival Alaska. Because my buddy had auditioned, but he couldn't do it. And they asked, hey, do you know anybody else with military training? It was like the first season. This was like 8-9 years ago or whatever. And they called me up, and I had a call with them. And then ultimately they just decided not to do it. But I was ready to go, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, you would love this show then. I think so. It's on Netflix. Check it out.
Right on.
But let's get into some of these movies that I've listed down here. And the first one, which is an easy pick, which is Lone Survivor with Marky Mark.
Yeah, man.
Even though you've heard the stories about this entire scenario, how it was dramatized. There was they said there was hundreds of dudes, but it was only like a platoon size maneuvering on them.
Right.
But still, it's still a Survivor.
Yeah,
movie.
this is more. Yeah, it's a great condensed version of what we're talking about. Still the will to survive.
Yeah.
And if we're only going by the movie and stuff, them trying to get downhill and them like falling and just
oh my goodness, and continue to soldier on. That's resiliency right there.
Yeah.
Not to mention not just the SEALs that were like part of the op, like Marcus Luttrell trying to survive, but the rescue. That Rangers were the ones that were the QRF to rescue them. Yeah. So those dudes didn't think they'd be out there that long, and that's also they were like there's a very famous picture of the 275 Rangers that were trying to rescue them, of literally they're black on water, so they're giving each other IVs to like stay hydrated. They were like maneuvering the mountains.
I didn't know there was this whole part. I only know about the SEALs.
It's just the SEAls, but no, they QRF Rangers.
QRF.
Yeah, 275 was the QRF to save them.
No kidding.
But then there was also one with the SEAls before the plane crash, and they were after the helicopter crash to get it.
Okay, there was enough. I never knew that part of the story, man.
Yeah, no, not a lot. That part's untold, but yeah, they had to like go rescue the bodies of like all the down dudes.
Oh yeah, they got to get them back.
Yeah, and it was 2nd Ranger Battalion that did it. Yeah,
that's cool, man. I like that. Just side note of a side note. I'm sure each regiment has their own special. Like that was the first that was the second regiment.
We did that. Yeah,
we did that. Yeah,
375. We did Operation Rhino. We jumped into
Yeah. Yeah, 275, 175.
Yeah, 175. We rescued Jessica Lynch. Yeah.
No, yeah, man.
We did Point Du Hoc.
Yeah, Jessica Lynch. Yeah, man. No, yeah, it's not so much like. Well, it just goes to show you like the whole survival thing. Yeah. Could be cut across a couple different genres. You're not eating that cord, are you, Tinkerbell? All right,
no, she's
that
okay.
cord. Okay, cool.
She's so cute.
She's a cutie.
She's a cute.
She just wants to hang out.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Like, can you imagine being? Let's put ourselves in Marcus Luttrell's position real quick. Like being in that Afghan village, because like obviously they do the thing where that you're supposed to feed him and clothe him and even protect him. You know. As an honorable kind of old tribal tradition, but like you don't know what's going to happen one moment to the next.
Not to mention like the whole deciding factor is whether to trust those dudes that do we kill them or we let them go.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, they let him go, and look what they did. They turned him. They literally alerted an entire Taliban force.
The decision might have been.
And you don't know if that village you're hemmed up in is like a Taliban run thing. So that's nerve-wracking.
Totally in somebody else's hands, man.
Oh yeah, totally. Then not to like that POW episode we talked about, like. Those are dudes I would not want to be POW for, like the Taliban and all that.
No way, dude. No, those guys will...
Screw that.
Yeah.
They'll f*** you up.
Screw you, yeah.
Yeah, literally. In the butt. Yeah. But let's see. Another one, which... You like this one, right?
I love this movie,
Yeah, you like
Hacksaw Ridge, 2016. We talked about this before. Desmond Doss.
Worth a repeat.
Yeah. Just, it's just amazing. You think about all the things that he went, especially that it's a true story. Like not only being able to survive in a battle type situation, but being able to do your job as a medic and never ever. I mean, that's hand of God stuff, man. To think about how hairy the combat was, and how
without a firearm too.
Without a firearm, man, never carried a firearm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel unsafe just walking the streets of LA without a gun.
That's right.
And he's literally facing Japanese like crazy soldiers.
As you know, we know that the fighting got more intense the closer they got to mainland Japan. Okinawa probably didn't get any more intense than that.
Yeah, no. That was
and then in the midst of that, to save at the very least 75 guys.
Yeah.
But probably more. And then even maybe they say maybe even some Japanese dudes like
Yeah, literally.
yeah, that didn't ultimately make it. But
Yeah.
but yeah, Desmond Doss, great movie, Hacksaw Ridge. Just one of those movies that I'm so glad that it exists.
Yeah,
a lot
absolutely.
of movies these days like they did or don't exist. They're not exactly like healthy for the culture, you know. But that one's a good one.
That's a good one. The only gripe I have with that movie is the fact that they casted Vince Vaughn as the drill sergeant. Like that's the only talk about like someone that you would just be like, whatever, man. But you know what? I was showering the other day and like
paint a picture for
paint
us,
a picture. Yeah. I was naked in the shower, but literally I had this thought and I was like, what if one day I just decided like when I get out of the military completely, like not National Guard or anything, and what if I just decided to go back in, but I had to go back to basic training? Like, how would I act?
Yeah.
Like, if the drill sergeant told me to do something, would I be like, look, man, I have 8 years CIB Airborne Wings. Like, I've been in your position. And not to mention, drill sergeants back then, they might not have a deployment. And I'd be like, actually, I have a real deployment.
Right.
So, I'll tell you, you fuck off. You fuck off right now.
You just be asking for trouble, man. Like, why do that to yourself, you know?
Well, it's either like, yeah, this dude's completely right. Or I'm just like, leave me the fuck alone.
You just know they would never leave you alone because what you're doing is openly challenging their authority in the face of all the other
this would be behind closed doors.
Okay, well.
No, I'd walk in the thing, I'd knock on the thing, I'd walk in and be like, look, man, I did this for 8 years. I deployed.
And they'd probably be like, listen, okay, you just show me respect out there. Do what and we'll
be like,
take
these
it easy
people,
on you.
I was like, these kids need to be here.
Yeah.
Like, I've already done this.
Yeah.
I don't need to be here. I have to be here. So leave me alone. Right?
For some reason, because we got invaded by North Korea and stuff.
Yeah. I was like, I have to be here. I don't need to be here, right? But that's what I thought the other day. And if it was Vince Vaughn, I'd be like, yeah, man, fuck you.
But you know what I like about that casting choice, and I thought the same thing about people like Pablo Schreiber in 13 Hours and other ones where sometimes they cast like either a comedian or even like
nothing against Vince Vaughn.
No, but like or even like a rapper, somebody like that doesn't have an acting background, but they have this natural kind of like they have a natural kind of way about them, like Vince Vaughn or Pablo Schreiber. Like, dude, I knew people like that in the military, man. I knew people like that, and I appreciate that kind of casting because they can't all be like Tom Cruise looking dudes. Or Sam
like when
Worthington or whatever.
I had a drill sergeant when I first got to like 30th AG that had literally had a silver grill. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, he literally he was a brother, and he was
from the street.
Yeah, from the streets, and he literally had a silver grill.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, what else, man? You know what? I want to let's talk about this. I just want to talk about this real quick as an honorable mention because I think we need an entire episode just about this, like a deep dive into basically it's the short story is called The Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah. Which is weird because I read that in middle school.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, weird.
So it's a classic literature thing about a man going to an island and he meets this, upper class
charismatic
dude,
upper class guy.
And he says, I have brought you here because I am a hunter. I've hunted all over the world. I've hunted every kind of game, but I've never hunted a man before. Mm-hmm. And so he says, we're going to go out and I'm going to hunt you, Yeah. And at the very end, I actually think the dude,
he gets away, right?
The dude went. I actually think if I remember the story right, it ends with like, that it's the hunted guy that he has survived, but it doesn't say outright, but it's like, and a figure sits by the fire and smokes a nice cigar, or whatever, because that he finally won. But the idea of man hunting man, and this is very much like in the survival vein, but I feel like this is a subgenre that we probably devote a lot of time to because there have been a lot of movies. And a lot of premises of stories about basically people hunting other people. You got things like Arnold Schwarzenegger's like The Running Man. Mm-hmm. You've got Surviving the Game, which is like a straight up from The Greatest Game with Ice-T and Gary Busey. You got Hard Target, the classic 90s action movie.
Man, you're showing our hand right now. You're showing our hand. We'll do an episode about this in the future.
I just want you guys to know that I have thought about this, and I wanted to put that in there, but this is going to be for another episode. We already got it on the docket. So be on the lookout for The Most Dangerous Game, or Man Hunting Man series.
Man Hunting Man.
Not to be confused with the West Hollywood dating scene.
Man on man. yeah. But hey, there was one that I found, going back to just survival. This looks really funny. But not like funny in a haha way. So it's called As Far As My Feet Will Carry Me. Have you ever heard of this?
Never heard
Me
of it.
neither. But I didn't watch it. I just watched the trailer. It was in 2001, and it's based off a German. It's a German movie.
Okay.
So like it's in a different language, but it's a German World War II prisoner of war, Clemens Forels, escapes from a Siberian gulag.
Siberian gulag.
Yeah,
man.
and in
That's
the Soviet
old school
Union. Yeah, back to Germany.
POW.
And it's based off a book, but like the trailer looks ridiculous. It's like he's a Nazi soldier and he just gets, captured, and he's like, you are sentenced to blah 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 blah
The
blah.
gulag.
He's like 100 years of manual labor. And, and he like goes to some like Slovakian or what, some Siberian prison, and he's just like stuck there, and he's trying to escape, and he escapes, and they're like tracking him through like the snow, and he gets picked up by like, I don't even know, what are they called? Crap, they live in Canada. They're like Native Americans, but they're Canadian. Eskimos. Yeah, he gets like fucking picked up by like Eskimos or something, and he's like fighting off dogs and shit. It looks ridiculous. Like, just watch the trailer. I have to watch this movie. I have to actually commit time because obviously the subtitles, I need to know what they're saying.
Yeah.
But when I looked up like best survival military movies, this one comes up.
Survival military movies.
Yeah, As Far As My Feet Will Carry Me.
I feel like there's a lot of crossover, like we talked about before, with POWs and survival movies. Because once it's a POW until you escape, then it becomes a survival movie.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, this one looks crazy.
That's awesome. Man.
What's it? Yeah, it had 90% people like.
We
this
gotta check
movie.
it out.
We gotta try this one out.
One thing I told myself this would be my goal for season 2 is to watch more movies, just to have
Physically
more
impossible.
to talk about.
That is physically impossible.
I mean, just there's so much to watch. I'm trying to make my way through with Clone Wars right now.
Oh, no.
Because it's been suggested so much. And Amy's like on it too, but it's so good. But there's just like it's like somebody said if you watch it'd take you like eight hours or something like that to watch all of it. But let's talk about one that I have seen, which would be The Revenant.
Yes, I was looking right at this one.
2015, baby.
This
Leo
is
DiCaprio.
finally got him his Oscar, right?
Did he win an Oscar
For this
for
one?
best
Finally.
actor? I mean, you hear that what he put himself through to like he actually like was out there and like not eating and like really trying to like like being cold and being miserable.
I mean, the movie's epic.
Oh my gosh, it's this guy Alejandro G. Inarritu, who I think he did like Children of Men and all that kind of stuff. And what is it? The space one. He did Birdman. Yeah. So this guy is a true blue filmmaker, and it shows because this movie is so beautiful to look
It's great.
at.
Yeah,
and
it's
brutal to watch. Tom Hardy's in it. For those that don't know, you got to see it. It's a frontiersman era America. They're out there collecting pelts and all that kind of stuff. And then Leonardo DiCaprio has like a half Native American son who ends up getting murdered by Tom Hardy. And then they cover up the murder from the group, and they leave Leonardo DiCaprio basically to die because he gets attacked by a bear in this amazing like one-shot type scene.
Oh
where
my,
he
it's brutal.
Fights a bear off and
Yeah.
like slashes his neck, and he shoots it and stabs it and stuff, and then they
Yeah.
tumble down the
The
hill.
hill.
It's just
He
unbelievable
survives,
filmmaking,
and then
man.
and he has to or the thing where he gets he has to sleep in the horse.
Yeah,
is it a horse?
He and his horse, he's getting attacked by Native Americans, and him and his horse jump off a cliff and tumble through the trees. The horse dies, so he cuts it open, guts it, and then crawls inside
In the carcass to stay warm.
To stay warm.
Yeah, because
dude.
it's like snow.
It's
epic
like straight
movie.
up Hoth, man.
Yeah, epic fucking movie.
And then
the battle sequences are crazy.
Yeah, they're great. And so a lot of them is like one shots.
They're all one shots.
Yeah, there's no cuts, so it gives us real.
It's like
kinetic
360. It's like a
feel.
360 fight. Yeah,
Yep,
it's really.
exactly.
It's an awesome. I'm glad you
Awesome.
put this one down because I was gonna put it down as well because he has some like he's not just a fur trader, right? He has some of Continental Army background or something.
I think he did because he ended up marrying a Native American woman,
Yes.
having his son, and so he's kind of two worlds.
Yeah,
he's
and they hate him
American,
for it, right?
Yeah, they hate him and they hate his son. He's like
Yeah, 'cause
half-breed
like, you're
and stuff.
half-breed.
But he lives out as basically like a survivor now, so he's like
Yeah.
their guide a little bit. And so eventually he goes out and tries to get revenge on Tom Hardy, and he gets the coolest revenge on him at the end of the day.
Does he, like, slice his throat or
Well,
something?
they're fighting, and instead of he has a chance to kill him, he's injured, but he has a chance to kill Tom Hardy. And instead of killing him, he sees the Native Americans that have been like looking for Tom Hardy this whole time, and he lets his body float down to them, and they scalp him, which is like Tom Hardy's like worst nightmare. Like his own personal hell. He gets scalped.
Yeah,
and so that's just like the most brutal ending.
That's awesome.
Next one I want to talk about, man, classic survival movie. I guess half a survival movie and half a discovery. Excuse me.
Big burps.
Excuse me. Pardon me. We'll keep that in there. Yeah. Castaway. Tom Hanks.
Of course. What's the ball's name? Don't tell me. I always forget. He puts the blood face on it.
You know my
Wilson?
His name is Will Spalding. Yeah.
Wilson! When I was growing up, my dad used to always scream that. For some reason. It's the only movie quote he knows. It's him going, Wilson!
And you know that movie's so good because when he loses Wilson, you really like feel for him.
Oh, dude, that's a real person.
Yeah,
Wilson's
man.
a real person.
Wilson's a real dude, man.
Well, I think you mainly feel for his loss.
Well, yeah, because they do a good job of obviously he creates. That's the only relationship that he has on that island. You know, it's just crazy.
That means anything.
That means anything, yeah, and it keeps him sane a little bit. It keeps him like kind of anchored because we're social beings, and that's where he attaches himself to.
Yeah,
you know?
that's kind of going back to alone. Since we're social beings, that's like one of the hardest things.
Yeah, is that what people
being
say?
alone.
I feel like I could handle that stuff though. That would probably be the easiest part for me because
I think in the beginning.
In the beginning,
it's like that.
You think that it would start gnawing away. Would that be a factor for you, man?
You know what? I actually, despite how like social I am and whatnot, I actually really enjoy being by myself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But for how long?
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm pretty, like, I'll be honest, I talk to myself. So.
I talk to myself.
I'm my own best
I tell myself my own, like, jokes. I laugh at jokes that nobody else
me too. When I'm in the car and I'm driving, I'm literally talking to myself the entire time. Yeah. And, like, making myself laugh.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm crazy, dude.
Singing to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. And to God, of course. Never really.
Yeah. Me, I'm alone as hell.
What are you talking about?
But, going back, what were we talking about? Oh, the Castaway.
Yeah, Castaway.
How does he get rescued again? The cruise ship? Like,
well, he determines within himself that he has to get off that island. So he finds like a package, I think, with that little angel wings, and that for him is like the symbol that he has to leave. You know.
Yeah.
So he builds a
big fire, right?
Well, no, he has a raft, and every time he tries to get off the island, the waves at the crest of the atoll kind of like push him back. So he builds a sail out of these materials that end up washing up, and that pushes him over the edge and it gets him out of the atoll and like off the waves. Now he's on the open ocean. So it's like, it's like his symbol. It's he determines that he has to get off that island or he was gonna die. I think he says in the movie, he's like, I knew I had to get off that island or I was gonna die. And they did a cool thing where you talk about like Christian Bale doing some body stuff. Well, they stopped production for like 3 months, 4 months, and all he did was like basically drink coconut water, but like he was on the island eating fish or whatever, and he lost all that body fat. He like really did. It wasn't like a bodysuit or anything. He was actually that skinny.
Interesting. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
One of those ones that like really kind of leaves you with a gut punch at the end because he ends up getting off the island.
Yeah, and he comes back to his normal life, but it's not so normal.
5 years later, Helen Hunt was his wife, and she's moved on. She has a husband now. Yeah. And then he goes back.
That's a gut punch, dude. Man, because you're like, if you're in the shoes of, Tom Hanks, right? Tom Hanks' character, it's like, that's what you're looking forward to. That's your will to survive.
In the movie, like, thoughts of you kept me alive.
Yeah, and that's like, how do you live with yourself as like the wife where you're like, I thought you were dead.
Yeah, they hashed all that out, and then he goes and he returns that package to that artist lady, and then the movie. Yeah. He was like, that is true. I'll allow it. But then at the end of the movie, he's literally at a crossroads, and that's where it ends. He's like, what am I going to do now? Kind of thing. So.
I'm going to go join the regiment.
To correct you on that properly, he has the package with the angel wings.
Yeah.
She's
not there.
She's not there. He delivers it, but he notices who she is.
Yeah.
And he decides.
And they talk a little bit. Right?
Yeah, and he decides he's going to follow her. He turns down.
He does turn down that road?
That's what I remember.
I remember him considering the directions, and then it ends. Folks, you let us know because you are the ones who have all the information.
You're the real experts.
You're the real experts.
Yeah, just make sure you pull over before you Google. But let's talk about not necessarily a movie. Let's talk about a figure. One of the most famous survival figures in all of time with military background. Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls, man.
Yeah, so, I was doing a little research on it because, You can't talk about survival and like not think of Man vs. Wild.
Yeah.
Like Bear Grylls. He's an icon. He's a survival icon.
It's like Survivor and then Man vs. Wild are kind of one of the top survival shows that are out there. I mean, the ones with the most notoriety.
Oh, absolutely. And Bear Grylls sounds like a really cool dude to hang out with. He was part of British Special Forces, so he was a part of the 21st SAS Regiment.
Yeah. And now
Only 3 years though, which is very interesting.
That's kind of like me or you. Like I'm a Green Beret. It's only Green Beret for a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know SAS had reserves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, you British military nerds out there, but there's the 21st and the 22nd, and one of them's active, one of them's reserve.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, but still, very cool.
Still made it. Still, obviously gets honor where honors due.
Absolutely.
He served. But then also he made his name.
He proved it
out there
by eating anything and everything.
I remember eating the elephant poop for moisture. Drinking moisture, squeezing
squeeze the turd to get water
to get the
out
moisture in Africa. That was, oh god, no.
You think you do that?
If I had to, I could do it if I had to. I want to live. I want to live, man.
Yeah, I want to live.
I'm not gonna be like, well, I have my dignity. Blah, and
there's no elephant
There's
turds
the
in the
episode
house.
where he actually pees.
He drinks his own
and
urine.
He boils it and then he drinks it.
That's totally doable too. That seems more.
It's a last resort type of thing, because obviously you're not peeing out. Like, you're peeing out water, but it's not like water complete.
Yeah, there's stuff that your body doesn't want.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna get out of here and you just see it. It's
Very
kind of like
gross.
taking a bath. I don't like taking a bath because you're literally just soaking in your own filth.
Soaking in your own filth.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah.
And I pee in the bathtub.
Oh, never. Thank you for ruining baths for me.
Yeah. Well, another show that actually this one had a scandal. And
I need to hear about this because I've not heard about Dual Survival.
Dual Survivor. It's that survival. It's that show where they take the paramilitary guy and then the bushcraft primitive dudes.
Okay.
So two separate ends of the spectrum, but they have them work together in order to survive.
They work together
in an environment to escape and survive. But there was the military guy claimed to be Ranger and airborne and special forces, right? And it turns out he completely lied about his military service. And there was this huge scandal and they kicked him off the show. And
Joe Teti,
maybe
after the extremely justified firings, original pulled the plug on Dual Survival. The show's 6 seasons was roughly condensed into a mere 4-season episode. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had never heard about the show at all.
Yeah, he lied about his background. He was in the military, but he
stolen
went to Korea. So he went deployed to Korea. And that's it.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I thought because I was gonna bring that up because I was like, yeah, he's a military guy, and I was like, wait. I guess he is, but he's not a real. Yeah.
Very important to. Just like when there's
That's why you always ask for
something, you don't want to say the name and tell the person sitting with the notoriety. When it comes to Survivor, you want everybody to know the name or what they look like, so they're never gonna do it again.
Exactly, man. That's why I want someone to call me out on Stolen Valor because I am ready. That I know you've made it if someone's questioning.
Oh yeah, I had one comment in the very beginning of our time on the internet. It was a Gameology one, and somebody said Israel it was an Instagram comment. Said, I know you're faking it. I know you weren't really in the special forces. And I had to laugh and I had other people that came to defend me. They're like, dude, you're dumb.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's so cool, man. So
that's cool, man. Yeah, you made it.
Yep. When
I have a couple people that are like, Rangers aren't special operations. And I laugh.
That's so funny, man.
Yeah.
They literally are.
They literally are.
What do you say to that?
And you're getting me so angry.
Yes, they are. Shut up.
Yes, they are. Shut up, man. You don't know me. But I thought that was worth. It was that because that show is really funny. What? Do you ever watch Survivor Man? I'm kind of going everywhere right now.
Survivor Man was the other one that I've heard of, but I never watched it.
I didn't like Survivor Man.
You didn't like it?
Because I thought it was fake.
Oh, you thought it was fake?
Because they say it's all him recording himself.
Okay.
But I didn't believe it.
Maybe there's
I think there's a guy.
A crew just
I think there's a crew.
Oh, okay.
But I could be totally wrong. If you know for real, if Survivor Man was real, was he out there by himself the entire time? Let me know.
Okay.
Because some of the shots, you couldn't get that without being with the crew.
Interesting.
Some of them, I'm pretty sure he had some moving shots.
Oh, okay.
That tracked him. So that's why I was like, there's no way. And it was back in the day too when all the cameras he had were handhelds.
Yeah.
Big
chunky things.
Big chunky things.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me know if you think Survivor Man was fake because I'm pretty sure it was.
You know what else was fake? the 2015 movie The Martian.
The Martian.
Matt Damon. Matt Damon. I love this movie, even though it says it's a Ridley Scott movie. There's nothing about it that makes me think Ridley Scott directed it, but it's super cool because it's a different kind of survival movie where he literally has to survive on a foreign planet. Using science. He says science so much during that. You have to science the heck out of it. Science. You got to science stuff.
Science these potatoes.
But it's super cool because you find out how he would do that kind of stuff. And I never read up on whether or not like astronauts thought it was like totally accurate, but super cool. And then like the politics of them like trying to, what should we do? Should we send stuff? And then they try to kind of fast track that one's resupply and it blows up, and it's all about
so sciencey.
Yeah, how they're gonna like figure it out, problem solve, and
I would love to see like actual scientists, experts react to The Martian.
Experts react to The Martian.
Yeah, see if like the sciences were true and like how much research was actually put in. Because it was based off a book.
Based on the book by Andy Weir is the
Weird.
Oh, Drew Goddard. He wrote a script to Halo, the Halo movie that never got made. Anyway, not important. Signed.
Back on the thread.
Yeah. Back on the
The Martian. Cool movie. I like the premise. I just
cool.
want to know if like the science is actually accurate.
Yeah, right. Yeah, really cool premise for a survival movie. I enjoy. I actually have not seen it since it went to the theater, so I need to go check that out again sometime.
Or do a rewatch on that.
Yeah, exactly.
But cool, man. I think we've hit a lot of survival movies.
Yeah, man. You want to?
Let's answer a question. I know I asked you a question. Now it's time for them to ask us a question. This question comes to us from Jeff Landers via email.
Jeff, thanks for the email. Appreciate it.
And he wants to know, what is the grossest thing you have ever eaten, whether it was in the armed forces or in your travels? Great question.
Great question. I haven't had the pleasure of ever squeezing, moisture out of a elephant poop. Yeah, but I think for me, the thing that most readily comes to mind is during the Q course during Robin Sage, the final field training exercise that we did to become a Green Beret. We had canned pig brains.
Interesting.
Canned pig brains.
On purpose?
Yeah, it was I tripped and ate some canned pig brains. But it was like cultural engagement, so we were with this tribe or whatever, and they said, come and eat our, we are all Russian. No, we are Pinelanders. Yeah, boogity-boo. Some pig brains. Yeah. I was like, wow, it's actual canned, so that means that somebody somewhere cans pig brains in America. And it's real grainy. It was a lot like maybe like Spam or something like that, where it's like there's like granular kind of.
Did they cook it or was right out of the can?
Just right out of the can.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all right. There's no pig brain diseases that I'm aware of that I got.
Yeah, pig brain. Yeah, it's probably small brain, huh?
Yeah, pig brain.
Reasonably small. I'm trying to think. Like, I know I ate some crazy shit in Korea. Not like just like intestines and whatnot. Not that big of a deal because culturally that's like normal. When I was in Syria, they like fed us an entire goat with the head on, like it was on the plate, and like the entire thing was cooked just on the plate, and everybody just with their bare hands was like picking it up. But it was delicious. It was delicious.
Yeah, I think I draw the line at bugs, man. Like I don't like.
Oh, in Syria, did you have to eat any bugs in Syria?
No bugs, no nothing like that. It was a lot of berries and like little clams in some of the river, like mini clams.
Yeah,
you could put 100 of those in a can and cook it. You could eat those, but no bugs. Never had the pleasure of eating.
Yeah, I did eat a fresh bull testicle at a veteran retreat.
That's right. I would think that would be at the top.
I think that's the list. The grossest thing I've eaten. Yeah. Yeah. It was. We had a shooting competition. And it was there was a bunch of veterans, special operations veterans, and regular veterans that like went to this ranch, and like we were doing a shooting like competition with pistols, and we just broke into teams, and like my team lost, but I won my round. Okay, just put that out there. Right. I won my round, but because the next day we were supposed to help one of the local ranchers like castrate and brand his cattle, and so we all went down there. I was like, okay, losers have to eat the freshly castrated nutsack.
Dude.
So we all went down there and like we helped them all, which was crazy experience. Really great experience, by the way.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like a real man. Like
watching a bull become.
It's 100% necessary to like do that because it prevents diseases, and that's when they give its vaccination.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's it's brutal watching it happen. But they like straight up just rip the testicle, and it's the size of like a peanut.
Oh, it's small.
It's big. Well,
Oh,
I mean, it's about like 3 inches.
in the shell.
In the shell.
Okay.
Yeah, in the no, it is in the shell peanut.
Okay.
So it's about like 3 inches and about 1 inch wide. So it looks like,
big nut.
you know those magnets that like that
Cling
come
together.
that cling together, and you can play with them and stuff. Yeah, it's about that size.
Oh wow, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I put a little bit of tapatio on mine, and then I bit into it, and it tasted like a Vienna sausage, and then it cracks in your mouth, and then it explodes into like juices and shit.
Great.
But I actually had to eat 2 of them because the first one I forgot to record to prove that I did it. So,
Oh,
yeah, so I had to do it again. So I did it again. But it wasn't that bad, but it was gross.
Speaking of eating, let's jump right into our game.
Oh yeah, speaking of,
Because I got a great game. It's really a would you rather kind of game.
it is, and I made this game, so you can tell that I made it because it's called This or That. And,
What would you like to eat?
What would you like to eat? And the first one is, would you rather eat a cow turd or a bear turd?
I feel like I'm more familiar with cows. The mystery of the bear turd. Of course, bears probably eat probably a real well-rounded diet. They got the fish, they got the berries, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm feeling adventurous. I'm gonna say bear turd.
I'm gonna say bear turd too because I don't think they're that big.
Yeah, you know what?
Because all cows do huge
turds. Oh, you're talking about not taking a bite. You're talking about eating the whole thing.
Eating the entire.
Okay, probably bear turd.
Yeah, bear turd, 100% right there. Okay. Next one.
Wild mushrooms or wild berries?
Ooh, wild mushroom.
I mean, I gotta go with wild berries because I'm not about to be tripping out the wild, man.
Really, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I hope this one makes me see. Oh God.
I know. Well, you're taking a chance either way. Wild berries could be poisonous. Wild mushrooms could be.
I don't know how the like caloric density versus like the berries versus the mushrooms.
You just want to get high.
I just want to go crazy.
You just want to visit the gods.
Exactly. I want a spirit quest. I want to sweat. But that's easy.
Number 3.
Fish or a critter?
I'm not sure what a critter was.
A critter like a squirrel, like a rat.
Oh, fish.
You like? See,
I'm not the biggest fish fan. But
I don't like fish.
In terms of familiarity, I've eaten more fish than I have critters.
Really? I'd eat like a rabbit.
Oh yeah.
Like in Alone, they like
are
eating rabbits.
We ate some rabbits here.
Did you? Yeah. See, I would do rabbit just because I hate fish. I don't like that would be my downfall.
Well, yeah, I don't hate it, but it's not my favorite.
I'll be honest though, if I'm like super hungry.
Yeah, what am I saying? Totally critter. Like I don't like fish. What are we doing? It's your game. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Critter. Yeah.
It's like rabbit soup.
Yeah, rabbit soup. Man, see now that we're talking about it, I'm like,
man,
of course
really.
raw.
I'm actually really proud of this last one. But would you rather eat your best friend or your wife?
Oh.
Who would you do? Who would go
you
first?
get to keep one or the other?
Yeah, you get to keep one. You're out there.
Right, before I answer this question, Cameron, I need to ask: are you my best friend?
It's whoever you want. You don't have to disclose. You don't have to disclose.
I mean, I'd have to eat my best friend, man, because my wife, if she's my wife, she's my lifelong love, and Amy totally eat her husband.
Yeah, I would say best friend too, just because all my friends are jacked, and that's like a lot of food.
Yeah,
they last a long time.
They last a long time.
Yeah, not to mention, I wouldn't want to eat my wife. Then that'd be nagging from the grave.
That's right. Yeah, you have that guilty conscience for the rest of your life. Man.
Exactly. But cool, man. Short and simple. Yeah, definitely came up with that one. If you couldn't tell.
Well, team, we are glad that you survived.
Yes.
This episode. I see we're getting better with the taglines, So, yeah, folks, thanks for hanging out with us. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We got a new episode coming out every Wednesday, and we'll see you on the next one, team.
Cue music.